having class discussions, I know that some kids might sometimes feel like they're nervous to say something because they have those friends that always have the right answer, and they're always thinking, oh, I think it's right. So I think it's great that at least if they say the wrong answer, you can ask them, what makes you say that, and then you can kind of get to their thinking and see why they said that to further understand. Because sometimes, and like we talked, this kind of related to the intellectual character book, when they say something, it might not be technically the right answer, but when they start explaining it, you're like, oh, well that kind of clicks, and I can kind of see where they're taking that, and you're like, kind of like, okay, well that kind of makes sense. Might not be the answer I was looking for, but it definitely kind of relates, and it might relate to them more than somebody else. So.
And that helps me a lot with music too, because so much of music is how you feel, and I think that these thinking routines have really helped the children to be able to express themselves in that way without the anxiety of being right or wrong.
I also think that when you're asking important questions, as opposed to learning about whether the answer is right or wrong, that they tend to make more of a connection to whatever you're doing, because they are thinking about it. And also, adding up to what Melissa said, the children who are usually not the people who are first to respond begin to feel like they do have something to possibly offer to this conversation, and it grows their confidence. So next time they're not so afraid to try.
Because some of my lower kids have definitely, they say things, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's fabulous. And not even the highest kids are on the concrete. They're just, but the lower kids, they're like thinking totally outside the box. So it's awesome. And I really make a big deal about it. And they're like, yeah, I got an answer right. They just feel so accomplished. So.
I was amazed this past week. Actually, it wasn't this week. It was last week. We were working on current events, and I had the kids choose the routine that they wanted to use to share what they know about the article. And so it's kind of a variety. And so it was just sort of toward the end of class, and I just asked my students, I'm just curious, why did you choose the routines that you chose? And of course some would say, well, I figured that if I did this routine, there were less parts to it. So I could get to it more quickly. But I had several others that would say things like, well, I did the 4 C's on mine because I had a lot of connections to the article, and I wanted to share that. And then I had another child that would say, well, I chose to do the claim support conclusion because I had too much to say. And I had to do this, and this routine lended itself to that. But it amazed me that the boys and girls were at the point where they knew the routines, and they knew which one to pull depending on what output they wanted to give. And so I was impressed that the kids understand how the routines work and when to use the routine and which routine might be better for one activity over another. And so that was something I hadn't thought about before. So it really amazed me.
They're definitely becoming thinking routines because you're not having to do as much explaining anymore.
Exactly.
So, like
Which
yesterday,
is nice.
or it was Elliot in 5th grade when we did the questions. With Talk Talk, they're allowed to, respond and comment on other people's answers. And I said, what did you notice about these questions or other people's answers? And he said, I noticed that the questions that you gave us didn't really give us a lot to respond to the people's answers. And I said, you're completely right, Elliot. And I didn't tell them that they had to respond, but he noticed that on his own because he knew that was something that you got to do with Chalk Talk. So.
How neat. And he's brilliant.
And he's brilliant.
Brilliant, yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I know that next week we have the TCAP Crunch going on. And so rather than choosing one routine to focus on, when we're working with our kids and reviewing with our kids, go back to all of them. Go back to Tug of War, 3-2-1 Bridge, See, Think, Wonder. Go back to all the routines that we've been implementing. And just keep working with them, playing with them, tweaking them in your room. I found that for me, it's taking some of the stress out of TCAP by using the routines. For me, it's just making it a little more enjoyable as we go back through and review. I feel like the kids are decompressing a little bit, and so I'm relaxing a little bit more with it. But try those routines next week when you're doing your reviews in the afternoon. sort of see what more you're learning from it. And I know that we're almost on our 20-minute mark. Are there any closing questions, comments? I know something that I would like to do as we move into May, we had talked about it on Wednesday with our book study, but we were talking about through lines and what they were, and talking a little bit about how you get to the point where you have these overarching themes, if you will, for 9 weeks or a semester or even a year. And that might be something that we're working on in May when we're sitting down together, and we may be using some of our PLC time to think about through lines. When we look at our curriculums, we look at what we're teaching, and then we come up with overarching threads for next year. And it's something that we can work on together.
How many are in the book study that are also here? I know what we're talking about with through lines. Okay, good, thank you.
So is it something, when we have that kind of a discussion where we can talk about the lower elementary as opposed to going on into upper elementary, we can ask this question that carries over maybe in more depth?
It can,
And it was
yes,
in 5th grade, so
definitely.
there's continuity there.
That's the goal, to have continuity. And we can go with the through lines a couple different ways. What Sandy said on Wednesday still sticks in my mind, when she basically very succinctly said that through lines are the thread that ties what we're doing. And so that's basically what a through line is that overarching thread that we're sewing all year long. And we'll be digging deeper into that. But what do you think? Do you like the idea of exploring through lines in May? We'll still be talking about, routines, but we can also begin to look at what are our overarching themes. We could start out as a school if you're more comfortable with that, or we could just approach it from a grade level point of view. It's however we want to do this. This is our baby to shape. Okay. Well, I appreciate your commitment to this. I feel like we're sort of being led by inspiration, which is where I feel like is an exciting place to be.
Heather, I did have one thing to say
Yeah.
that was well. Basically, kind of what you said about PCAP crunch next week, I went ahead and pulled their discovery one more time, took a closer look at it, the discovery 3 for science. So I developed 5 questions that I felt like they still didn't quite grasp, and I did 5 different chalk talks based on those questions from Discovery Ed. And I realized that matter, for some reason, was still the one that were weak in, I don't know exactly why, but that stood out so plainly when you had the 5 around the room.
Oh,
You know, 5 questions, that was the one. So then right after that, I led into TCAP review, and they said that was the best, that was so much fun today. So the Talk Talk made TCAP review, a little more fun. When we got to the matter questions, everybody stopped. Okay, this is the one we need to get. So it was focused on it.
I love it.
So it really kind of getting into, how the TCAP and the Talk Talk can work together. It was fun.
That's
They liked it.
wonderful.
They could see that.
Yes.
Great idea. Okay, we'll be doing TCAP next week. Do we want to skip next Friday?
What
Since
do you
it'll be the
think?
last day, we're gonna try to get,
To get all of our TCAP packets and everything will be a hassle.
so,
So I will send you an email next Thursday or Friday, but we won't plan on meeting since we're gonna have to be doing TCAP.
and she's found some great, articles and so on about through lines that really lets you look
It's
at
gonna
it.
be succinct.
Yes, so, we'll get those to you so you can read them
Baby
before our
step.
next meeting and start thinking about how you wanna develop that and so on.
So what about the next week with the big section? We'll be in the same boat.
So you're gonna be
Great.
testing,
Mhm.
we'll look and see, we'll look and see at that point.
And
You
maybe
may
like
pick a
first and
different
second
day
grade
that you're
can
not
meet
testing, yeah,
briefly next Friday and
We
then
might do
go
that.
back and
Yeah.
or
we
something.
may work something like that out.
And it may be a good time for us to kind of break apart so that we can look at it from K through 2 and 3 through 5, yeah, first.
We'll
Okay,
be emailing what you know.
sounds great. Thank you guys, I appreciate it.